Hello everybody, Alaska Stock Talk here. It's been a few days. A lot has happened since my last video. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the things. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys, I know the last one I talked about my art class. I'm going to show you a little bit what I've been doing in there. We're going to get to the charts a little bit, and then we're going to get to a section called What About Bob? And then we're going to talk about a little bit more about Ocgn and the Bristol-Myers connection, or what possibly might be a connection there, and then a couple other things like earnings and stuff like that. Alright, so next up, or let's see here, let me pull this up. First of all, disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I'm no professional or anything like that. I'm not a professional stock trader. I don't have inside information about Ocgn or anything. So take what I say with a grain of salt, and don't use this to go buy Ocgn or anything like that. This is just for entertainment purposes. Alright. So this week, for my art class, we were assigned to make these 9 squares of different textures. This is an 18 by 24 sheet of paper, so these are fairly large. Each box is 6 by 8 inches. As you can see, I did like a tree and some rocks, wall, broken glass, orange or tangerine. You know, you get the idea. Some water, so different textures. Then we were supposed to take a picture of the ones we thought were the best. I just thought this one looked really nice here, the wooden texture that I did. And then the next assignment was to do 9 different eggs. Each of these are pretty big too. This is another 18 by 24 sheet of paper. Each egg was about 3 to 4 inches. And you can see these, you had to use different shading styles for each one. You know, like regular shading, cross hatching, stippling, and contour lines, hatching, stippling, all that kind of different stuff. And then the one that I thought was the best was just the regular shading one. I think it just looks really nice. Okay, let's keep going. This is back on February 7th. I tweeted this out about this could be a possibly really nice entry for the cup and handle thing. You can see, well, if you looked at the chart today, you know that that played out really nicely. Here's another one where I mentioned the Bollinger Bands tightening up, and I said I think it's possible to see another decent push in the next week. It was a couple weeks later, but good enough. I said once we get above the middle Bollinger Band here, it should be smooth sailing back to 70 cents. And I think I forgot to take a picture of that, but that's exactly what happened today. We got yesterday I think we got up above the Bollinger Band just barely, and then today, boom, we shot back up close to the top here, close to 70 cents. This is, I was pointing out here in my last video, I said there would be that the fractal little app on TradingView would show one here, but I was actually just a little bit ahead. We had one more candle here, and it actually put the fractal there. So I was pretty close, right? I was able to see that we were going to have a change. The stock was going to go back up right before we even got to the low there. I could see that we were going to head back up. And especially after I saw this hammer candle, you know, that is pretty bullish. And then that's exactly what happened. We went back up after that. There's another post. We've been building major support in this area, preparing for major bustage, right? Today we got that bustage. Another one said she's tight. We're going to bust one direction or the other. Okay, I was looking at this fractal candle here. You can see it was very, very small, which means very tight. The bulls and the bears were fighting against each other, and you can see down here that sense that, you know, it went up 18.29%. Here's another one, February 6th, where I said, you know, this is a chart from 2020. Look at the similarities. This is how, pointing out, this is how you could use the golden fib during an uptrend. Okay, we hit the golden fib. This is more recently, and then as you know, today, boom, we've skyrocketed back up. All right, for this next one here, this is, let me make this bigger. This is a Dr. Stock video that I would suggest you all go watch here. The CPI report that's coming out tomorrow, and he's made a prediction that, well, let's come back just a little bit here. We can see me. So what happened when we had earlier, or at the end of the month, in the beginning of January, I think it was, we had all that volume, right, and we shot up. That was because the markets were expecting the CPI report to do something different than what actually happened. After that CPI report came out and it was higher than what they expected, that made the volume in all the speculative stocks like Ocgn tank, right? And that's when we have been seeing Ocgn going back down and down. And then tomorrow is the next CPI report, and Dr. Stock here is predicting that we're going to have a really low one. In fact, he thinks it might be somewhere around 2.6 instead of, I think the last one that came out was 3.9, and that made all the volume disappear from small stocks, from small market cap stocks. And then he's saying if this is to happen, if it really comes out this low tomorrow, it would be huge news, major bullish for the stocks. So take a look at the title, go watch that video. It would be huge bullish news for all stocks, especially speculative stocks like Ocgn, if we do get one that low. And he basically says anywhere from 3% or below would be good, and anywhere from 3% and up would probably, would be like okay, and we may see decline if it's still higher again. All right, another thing I wanted to point out is Ocgn, right? We went to the H.C. Wainwright Investor Conference earlier in 2023, and then later on this year, right, H.C. Wainwright increases their PT. They raised it to $7 from $5. Then we know recently Ocgn went to NobleCon. That was on December 4th, where Shankar did his conference spiel there. And then shortly after, NobleCon raised their price target. So obviously these institutions are seeing some really positive things out of Ocgn. And if you read this article that came out today, they even say that, right? We're really pleased with the clinical trials and stuff that Ocgn have gone through. It's just this article that came out today is just a little weird because there's only a few, like 2 websites that have this article. So either it's like a pre-release that we somehow got, or I don't know. I wouldn't say a fake, but it's just kind of weird that there's no really other links. Webull, StockTwits, nobody else posted this news like they did with the last increase. So maybe that's what we'll see tomorrow, and they may even help the stock price tomorrow as well, if we do actually, or whenever this actually does get posted by those social media apps. All right, and on to the KTR, because I'm on a time limited base here. The KTR and Ocgn news that I had talked about before, and possibly being connected with Bristol. You remember that this happened, and it was on May 18th that they finalized this deal or partnership or whatever is going on here. Was on May 18th. And I found this here that if you remember the original Bristol Myers, they met up with KTR, the Telangana government, back in January, and then in May 18th is when Ocgn announced theirs. Well, I found this post here that was saying the BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb team, was back in they were meeting. They had another meeting, right? The Telangana Life Sciences government crew, these same guys that I talked about before, Jayesh Ranjan and Sak Nagapan, were back at the same place as Ocgn on May 18th. And they say on here, where is it? Maybe I didn't put that one on here, but there was one picture. Let me scan through here. I must have forgot to add it, but there was a picture here on part of this post that was saying that they had these discussions that also revolved around potential opportunities for BMS in Hyderabad and their other growth plans. Okay, so that's, very speculative, but maybe they were talking about Ocgn there, especially since that same day, May 18th, is when Ocgn announced their partnership, right? So very interesting. And then also, I found, this is a slide from when Ocgn did his presentation. It's the only one that had this right here that says that Ocgn has an R&D center in Hyderabad, India. This is the only thing that I have found here stating that, and it's the same exact slides that Quan Vu used here, the same ones that Ocgn, or that Shankar used in his newest one, except this slide was the only one taking out of that newest one that he just did at NobleCon, which is really interesting. Okay, now on to what about Bob, right? He's our most recent addition to the business advisory, and he left his senior vice president global gene therapy business. He left that position to come join Ocgn, which I just wanted to point out again, I think is super bullish, right? Why would he do that? He's been involved in so much. He's been working as the head of global gene therapy at Pfizer for a really long time. Why would he just all of a sudden up and leave Pfizer to join Ocgn unless he knew of something major going on, right? He was also the senior vice president of mergers and acquisitions, and also at Pfizer he was the business development and alliance management. So if you didn't know, Bob, he was the one that was responsible for Wyeth merging with Pfizer, right? And this is how he has previously already knows Shankar, because on it, the newest thing when Ocgn posted about them getting Bob Smith, he was like, "Oh, I really like what they've got going on, and I've previously already worked with the executive management at Ocgn via Pfizer and Wyeth, and that's why I'm willing to do it again." So he's a major merger and acquisition kind of guy. He was responsible for Wyeth going to Pfizer. And then if you know anything about Shankar, he worked for Pfizer for 15 years and had the most successful vaccine rollout ever at Pfizer. Okay, and now Bob is coming back to Ocgn, who's a major merger and acquisition guy. So something, I think, is brewing here with Mr. Smith. For nearly 8 years, he led global gene therapy business, including the strategic and operational development and implementation of Pfizer's end-to-end. He's an accomplished biopharmaceutical executive with over 35 years experience in a variety of alliance management, business development, commercial corporate strategies, mergers and acquisitions, and research and development executive leadership roles. I'm impressed with the science behind Ocgn's modifier gene therapy programs and look forward to introducing this novel approach to potential business partners, said Mr. Smith, having previously worked with members of the Ocgn leadership team at Wyeth and Pfizer. I welcome the opportunity to join the BAB and support their short and long-term goals for the company. Just like I was talking about, okay? Here's that spot where he mentions that. So basically, why I bring all this up is Bob Smith really leaving his head position at Pfizer for lonely old Ocgn, a real small biotech company, or is he helping Ocgn become merged with or acquired by maybe Bristol Myers Squibb or Pfizer themselves, right? Would that make more sense that he joins Ocgn Business Advisory Board and then brings them back underneath Pfizer's wings, or he joins their Business Advisory Board and then he knows they're going to be merged or acquired by Bristol Myers Squibb, and then he becomes lead of that gene therapy group there? Both of those make more sense to me than him just joining Ocgn, unless he also knows that Ocgn has gotten a huge amount of funding that will become as big as Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer. Otherwise, why would such a huge key player be joining such a small biotech company, right? That's apparently going to have an RS soon, right? As some people think. We don't know yet, and we'll talk about that a little later. Okay, next. This is the BioAsia 2024 coming up, and the new CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb, it's kind of small, let's make it bigger here, is going to be here, right? And this event is being put on by the Life Sciences event organized by the government of Telangana, the same guys, Jayesh Ranjan, Shakti Nagapan, who did the BMS deal with KTR, and also the same two guys that did the deal with Ocgn and KTR and Telangana Life Sciences, right? So this is their shindig being put on, and Christopher Borner, the new CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb, is one of like the main guys who's going to be talking at this event. And it just so happens to be from February 26th and 28th. Okay, so those dates right there are important. If you remember, because Shankar is also going to be talking on the 26th. He's going to be talking on the 26th at the CEO and Investor Conference. So both of them are at these major events, and they could be announcing some sort of thing, right? It's another speculation, right? I think it's possible they might be announcing something. Especially Shankar might be announcing something because this is the day before earnings. Ocgn is expected to have their yearly 2023 filing on the 27th, the day after Ocgn, and the day after, or the same day that the CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb are both going to be attending conferences. So that's just something I've noticed. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, super crazy. So now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this here. So I mentioned the RS, the reverse split. Those of you that are new here or thinking about getting into Ocgn, this is pretty speculative play right now because we have $1, right? Because of the NASDAQ requirement, we have to make it to $1 before the end of April. Here's our deadline, right? So we have a ways to go to get back to $1, or there could be a reverse split, which is usually not the best for the stock price in the short to mid-term, right? It could be anywhere from 5 to 1, 20 to 1, or whatever, where 20 of your shares will turn into 1 share, and it adjusts the price to be back above the dollar range, and therefore meeting the NASDAQ requirement of being over $1. So we do have that coming up. Just beware. Don't jump into this. It might not be the best time to jump into it unless you're jumping in for a very short time. You might want to wait until to see if we do make that deadline of $1 by the end of April. So keep that in mind. Let me pull this back up. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just put this back here, and kind of think of what might happen next. It's very possible that we do see a pullback. Let's do this. You know, it's possible we see a pullback after such a major push today. Maybe we'll come back to the 3.8 or the 5, or maybe even all the way back down to the golden pocket again before we go back up. It just depends. Or it's possible that the CPI report is amazing tomorrow, like Dr. Stock is saying might happen, and we get another huge push up, right? That would be awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's look at the Bollinger Band. You could see, like I was talking about before, the Bollinger Band tightened up. It squeezed. Right here we got just above the middle line, and then boom, just like I was talking about, smooth sailing back up towards the 70 mark. You can see, let's go to the weekly. So you can see that you can kind of ride these Bollinger Bands up, and then after you kind of make a close above it is when it comes back down. So we could still get going up, right? We could start riding that Bollinger Band again, like we did back here. We're riding it, and until it comes back down. You recheck the middle band. It's kind of how that works. So it's possible to see another push. It's possible that we do a retrace. You kind of just, if we start getting a bunch of volume again tomorrow, more than likely we'll go back up. There's kind of all these different things that you should check before you decide. You don't just look at one signal. You look at as many signals as you can before you make a decision whether to buy or sell stocks. Alright, let's stop there because I have some stuff to do today. I hope you guys really appreciate this video, and congratulations to everybody today. 20% we went up at one point today, which is huge, awesome. Hopefully we keep seeing some moves like that in the Ocgn stock. That's what I'm hoping for. Alright, see you guys later.